Hey NAI football fans, Cory here with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, you hear the ad read every week. We are the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft Sports, the best in the business in uniforms, custom apparel, and merch. I mean, I can't say it any better than I already said it. You need to go check them out, adcraftsports.com. We are back. We, meaning I, am back another side of the Mid-States, Midwest, and we'll see if I make any more friends today. I don't know. I might annoy more people. But let's get to the getting. First up on our program, it's going to be the Judson Eagles, the relative newcomers to the division here. Were not quite as successful last year as they were the year prior, down 3 overall, and dropped back about 53 spots in SP Plus on offense. The Eagles, named after the famous Baptist missionary Adoniram Judson, just could not get it done at home or away, if you pardon the pun there. And it's a tough road to hoe for the Eagles there. Now, they do bring back Brandon Mackey, all-conference first-teamer, 702 yards. They also bring back Grant Alexander, 556 yards receiving. And the only piece you really lose that was an all-conference guy is Tyler Silverstrand on your offensive line, a second-teamer. You bring back Derek DeVries, a first-teamer on your O-line, and Jay Callantine on your linebacking core. So what does that mean then for the Eagles? Well, they return a majority on both sides of the ball. We'll have to see if they can get it going. It's been hard to get anything put together for Judson so far. We'll have to see if this is the year that they start to punch up in a year where there's going to be an absolute ton of uncertainty here, there, and everywhere in the Midwest. You'll see a lot of approximations tonight on that because we don't know who all these teams are specifically. There's a lot of them that bring back a lot of pieces and lose a ton of pieces. We don't know a ton about this division. Next up from the bottom, we take a huge leap from 90 to 30, and we get to the St. Francis Cougars. Yes, I have to put the state now because now we have Indiana and Illinois in the same division. It was not a great year by St. Francis standards. It was a better year than 2022. 6-4, 5-2 in the Mid-States, Mid-East. 39th in SP Plus. That was up 3 overall, up 9 on offense, down 5 on defense for your split there. And they do bring back a lot, including Avante Vickers, the Judson transfer that was there in 22. It was at Judson in 22, transfers over to St. Francis for 23. Got him coming back, had 235 yards. You got a lot of O-linemen coming back between Almeida, Muncie, and Neely. And the big pieces there for you is defense. Nate Talhelm, Kevin Ford, both leaving Talhelm good for 90 tackles, 5 pass breakups. And so the St. Francis team that's been so good for so long, what should we expect from them? It's going to be tough because you only return half on either side. You're going to have another Quarterback battle, Grant Grimmel coming back for another year. We're going to battle it out with Garrett Yoon. And you return a majority at running back and wide receiver, but a minority at D-line and linebacker with Marquise Cross and Emmanuel Davis. You do return most of your DBs, but I don't know, man. As a Florida State fan, I do not want to see St. Francis fade into mediocrity. It's one of the saddest things you can see from a team with a legendary head coach. And I'm really hoping St. Francis gets it put together this year. They deserve better than the mediocrity. The legend of a coach deserves better. And I know that they're going to fill their bucket and try to get above that 6-4 mark, but I offer that cautionary tale. Next up is Olivet Nazarene. They were up 10 overall. A lot of changes going on in ONAZ. Welcoming in head coach Avante Mitchell, formerly of Lawrence Tech, late last offseason. They turned over their entire coaching staff and had interims for the entire season. They still did very good. Raised their SP plus 10 overall. Went up 2 on offense, up 18 on defense. It was a good year for Olivet. Was not a banner year, but it was a good year, especially considering the circumstances. Now, they do return a lot of pieces. Evan Leak, Blake Lamb, 2 big offensive pieces there. Leak was good for 4 return touchdowns, 2 on punts, 2 on kick returns. Also was a great all-around running back with 383 rushing yards, 208 receiving yards. And then you take a look at the defense that's coming back. Leonard, Harmon, Flores Cohen, Eccles. D-line, linebacker, defensive back. That's a nice core to go around. And, of course, you can't forget about J.T. Price. But here's your problem. First teamer Brian Jenkins has been a staple of the Olivet Nazarene offense for so long now. You'll lose all conference guys like Josh Anderson, Braden Cook, and Gerald Blackman. Second, first, and second teamers on the line, linebackers, and defensive backs, respectively. And a first team all conference offensive lineman in Donovan Bobo. And so what does that mean for Olivet Nazarene? Well, you are returning half on either side of the football. And I don't know what to make of all of that this year. How much is Avante Mitchell going to get to do? I know they hired him very early in the process, so he did get to go through most of camp and everything with his team, if not all of camp with his team. And he gets a chance to have a school with a little bit better resources. We'll see what we find from this team. And like I said, there's a lot of unknowns here. We saw half offense, half defense in St. Francis. We've seen it on Olivet Nazarene, and we're going to see more oddities ahead. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick break while we have a word from our friends at AdCraft.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer, and we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today, and let's bring your merch to life.
And that is exactly what they do. They are the best at it. You should definitely get a hold of them and talk with them about setting up a web store. Just take the stress out of getting your gear into your fans and your alumni's hands. So super simple. They are NAI born and bred, like I said on the pre-show ad, and you won't regret it. Great great folks. So as we climb into the upper half of the conference, we visit the St. Francis of Illinois Saints. A good year, up 23 spots overall. Of course, in 2022, they had issues keeping quarterback Sam Tumblety healthy. They're able to do that this season, and their offense improves 40 spots, up 20 spots on defense. It's a great year for St. Francis. They fall just shy of that auto bid. They do return a whole lot of guys with the last name of Tumblety, whether it be Sam on offense or at quarterback with 358 rushing yards, 1,159 passing yards, whether it be freshman wide receiver Joey Tumblety, 799 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns, or whether it's defensive back and 17th year senior Scott Tumblety. There's a whole lot of Tumblety to go around. And this has got to be Scott's last year. It's going to be fun for one last run with the brothers. But you've also got Dezion Jordan here, 594 receiving yards. You've also got Matthew Perry, who had 57 tackles and 3 picks. You got Kamon Reese, a first-teamer there with 82 tackles. Pat Strokia, the defensive lineman with a forced fumble, 3 pass breakups. It's a good set of pieces that are coming back. You only lose 2 first-teamers, D lineman Mike Johnson and DB Jalen Cooper. And for that, you're really returning most of your offense. Whether it's Tumblety at quarterback, most of your running backs with Gavin Day coming back, most of your wide receivers, Tumblety and Jordan. It should be a very good year for St. Francis, but they do have a couple obstacles, namely St. Xavier. The Cougars have been the constant thorn in the side of the Saints. It's another banner year for St. Xavier, 7-0 in conference, 8-4 overall. You're 14 spots better in SP+, including 32 spots better on offense and 16 on defense. You're giving up almost right at 4 yards per play. And you never know what you got, but you only return 2 all-conference guys as far as we can tell. That's Eobami Arakoyo. I'm so sorry I butchered the crap out of that. And Terry Elias. And then the next slide. Brace yourself, St. Xavier fans. It's a long list. All these guys had senior next to their name last year. Some huge, ginormous pieces. Stuart Ross, the quarterback who's been around the block a time or 4. Amari Venerable, Justin Pringle, 1,000-yard wide receiver, 2 kick return touchdowns there. Kyle Quinn, 529 yards. 3 offensive linemen in Cox, Pavlov, and Olsen. 2 D linemen that combined for 93 tackles and 32.5 tackles for loss. Finn Brandon, a couple of DBs in Carroll and Barnett. Your punter, your kicker, and your long snapper, literally your entire special teams unit, is gone between Pringle, Pacelli, Bennis, and Tokar. I don't know. You return few pieces on your offense. About half your running back production. Jesse Plunkett's your main guy coming back there with Venerable gone. Bailey Brooks is your main wide receiver with Pringle and Quinn gone. You only return a few, about 20 or so % of your wide receiver yards are coming back. And really no quarterback production to speak of. You've got Aiden Voss. But Voss is going to have to play a heck of a lot more snaps. Did not, he was about 2 or 3% of the production last year. Defensively, you might be all right. majority at D-line and linebacker and a minority at DB, but it's going to be a toughie, especially when not only do you have to deal with St. Francis, you've now got to deal with Marion in your own division. Marion drops back this year, down 9 spots overall, up 5 on offense, but down 15 spots on defense. To be fair, their 2022 defense was suffocating with less than 4 yards per play given up. It was a really very excellent defense. And to go down to 13th is not the worst thing in the world. Now, you do bring back some pieces. Keegan LaBelle, namely 707 yards. A guy at each level, Deion Pettiford, Jake Parrish, Dwight Lewis. And your punter, Mason Miller, good for 38.9 average, 55 long. But there are so many pieces that you've got to figure out what you're going to do without, including your quarterback, Zach Bundalo. 2 first-team all-conference wide receivers in Tyree Spence and Jalen Jennings, and a first-teamer on your tight end, in your tight end room, in Drew Byerly. Zach Sibila, Austin Jones on your O-line, Booker, a first-teamer on your D-line, Alex Griffith, a second-teamer in your linebacking core, and Nate Fry, the first-teamer in your defensive backfield, along with your long snapper, Peyton Knight. A lot of good long snappers last year in what is now the Midwest. And so for Marion, you return very few pieces of your offense and only about half of your defense. Say it with me. There's a whole lot of questions in the Mid-States Midwest. You can kind of tell in the Mideast how things are going to stack up. I can't tell you for sure who I like in the Midwest. It is obscenely close. There are so many pieces that are leaving that I just can't tell you. But I'm going to tell you anyway who I think. And these are not going to be confidence. There's not a lot of confidence points behind these picks. Matt's going to go with USF of Illinois to win. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. If they can get it put together in Scott Tumulty's last year, I think they might be able to do it. But I believe in St. Xavier's ability to put together a team year after year. I have been proved wrong by St. Xavier too many times to not understand that Mike Feminist can put together a roster and turn it over like very few others in this league. I'm going to go with St. Xavier until they do me wrong. I've picked against them several times when I've seen a laundry list of people leaving, and somehow, some way, they always seem to figure it out. Now, for my dark horse, go with all of that. There's too many pieces. There's too rich a history. There's too good of support structure around all of it, Nazarene, with the new head coach for them not to make a splash. You've got some pieces that are some teams that are not going to be in your way this year, like Roosevelt, that you might be able to carve yourself out a niche in this division. Matt thinks the same thing. With the new head coach, a little bit of energy there at all of that. We will have to see what happens here. This is, to me, one of the most interesting question marks in the entirety of the NAIA from a standpoint of a whole division not knowing exactly who's what. This can work for you. This can work against you. If the coaches decide on one and they're great, then that's fine. But if the coaches decide on 3 and someone comes out of nowhere, you're going to have a hard time getting multiple teams into the playoffs, which is a hallmark of the Mid-States. Now, what does this mean for our power rankings of divisions? Well, in average SP plus, the Mid-States Midwest comes up second, just in front of the KCAC Kessinger at a 36.667. It's a really phenomenal score, aided a whole lot by the fact that you've now got Marion in there. Standard deviation wise, they're not quite as good, but they're still quite good. Sitting there at fifth, sandwiched in between the KCAC Kessinger and the GPAC. So that means that when we look at our overall, that we've got a tie for third now between the Kessinger and the Mid-States Midwest as the third best division in NAIA. The Hart South and the KCAC Abyssal Division are now tied for sixth with the rejiggering around that happened in the with the addition of the Midwest. And honestly, that seems about right. To put them on par right now with the Kessinger, behind the Frontier, ahead of the GPAC. You look at the Mid-States Mid-East trailing. You've got your Gauntlet is now broken up between the two divisions. The Midwest is now the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet has changed sides between St. Francis, Olivet, St. Xavier, and Marion. The Gauntlet is now on the other side of the division, and there's no question about it. Now, the elephant in the room, what's going to happen with the Mid-States Midwest? The Mid-States as a whole. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard. The Mid-States is not the conference that they were when John and I started this account 5.5, 6 years ago. They're not the elephant in the room anymore. They're not the big baddie. That crown right now belongs to the GPAC in terms of playoff production. The Frontier has a chance with what they're doing to reclaim it. But right now, as the Mid-States is comprised, it is not the best division. It's not the best conference. It's probably not even the second best conference. And I'm not going to make a whole lot of friends saying that, but the numbers bear it out. And, like I said last week, I do not envy the Mid-States commissioner. He's got a very, very tough road to hoe. You've had so many teams drop between Missouri Baptist, between St. Ambrose. You brought in Defiance, but you need more. You need something to stabilize this conference. You need to be able to get both sides even again, especially as you're about to lose Concordia. It's a tough position to be in. I do not envy him at all. That's one of the toughest jobs right now in collegiate football. But it's not tough? Signing up for our Patreon. And guys, we need your help here. These patrons are how we do what we do, and as you can see, we're back down to two columns here. If you're able, I know inflation is killing everyone. If you can, please consider supporting us. It's $1 a month at the lowest level, and that gets you access to everything, including early material on our Patreon page. And we are so thankful for these patrons who have stuck with us through thick and thin. These are the GOATs here. An amazing group of folks supporting us here. That's going to be DSU Cone, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Vauble, Fred Christensen, Jerry Quickle, Ace Wellen, Brett, Marty Siebolt, Nick Ryan, Hayden Freno, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Brian Shake, Julianne Shager, Nate Soapbeer, Stephen Cutler, Julie Lout, Dale Norton, Nathan Moore, Dylan Gonzalez, Ryan, Jason Crawford, Charles A. Flowers, Todd Nick, Sean Chamberlain, Zach Lance, and Josue Trujillo. Now, yeah, Roger, I'm sorry. I have disdained your Marion squad. But to be honest, there's a lot of questions in the Midwest, and I'll be the first to say that the chance that I am terribly, horribly wrong about this division is extremely high. My confidence is not real great on this one. So, we'll see what we get. Going to be a fun one to watch for sure to see who rises to the top. Now, come back next week. We start our final three. The North Star, the Sooner, and the Sun. Starting with the North Star in its final season of existence. Talk about conferences that are having a hard time. We'll talk about the North Star, talk about their future and where they're going, and kind of put a lid on previewing them next week. Come back; it'll be a fun time as we talk about the future of the NAIA. And we are so thankful for your continued support. Again, please, we don't ask for subscriptions a whole lot or like and subscribe. Yeah, if you'd like to, please subscribe. We'd appreciate it. If you enjoy what we do, Patreon is the best way to support it. So we are so thankful for your support, and we will see y'all on the Twitter feed. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. Thanks also to our newest sponsor, Telemetry Sports. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the podcast and to our YouTube channel, and leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAF Ball and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.